Right guys, so I've just finished adjusting the two outer E strings here, and as I took a closer look I could see that the low E string wasn't quite at 1.75, it was closer to 1.5. So I just decided to take it up to 1.75, and as I got closer on the high E string I could see that it was actually way below 1.5. So I brought it up, and I have, both the E strings at 1.75 millimeters now. And what remains now is for us to basically go in and match the four remaining saddles, the E, D, G and B, to match the curvature of the fretboard. And given that we have adjusted the two outer E strings, we have that as a guide, and we know that we only have the four remaining saddles to complete. So as I said when we talked about tools, we're going to use this understring radius gauge here, which is 9.5 inch radius. And you can basically do two things with these here. You can choose to place them between the G and G string, put them close to the saddles and hold them up, and listen for how the strings ring through when you have it set there. But you can also take it and place it on top, and from there you can hear we have to raise those four in order to get them to match the radius. I tend to do it on the top here because I just find that easier, but you can put it underneath, but don't, if I place it under here, don't let it fool you that both the E strings are ringing and the four remaining strings aren't. That basically just means you have to raise the four saddles up until both the E strings stop, ringing out cleanly. I just found that by, doing it on the top here, I can hear that none of the E strings are ringing out. But I can clearly hear that the four remaining strings are ringing out, so I just find it easier to do it that way and just basically, raise them in order to get them up and to see that, they stop ringing once you reach the radius gauge down here. So we're going to match the four remaining saddles now, and let me see if I can get you in for a closer look here. Okay, so let's try it right here, guys. We need to set the remaining four. So I place the radius gauge on top here, and as I said, these strings aren't ringing through, but the four remaining strings are. So we'll have to take our small, Allen wrench here and basically adjust them up. And I think we can start with a quarter of a turn for each, and from there we can go in, place the radius gauge again, and basically see if we need to go any further. But we'll probably need to, but it's just nice to take it little at a time in order not to go too far, because then you would have to go back and adjust it again. But let's say a quarter of a turn here, and we'll place it again. So the A string is now catching, but the D, G and B aren't. So we're going to give them somewhat quarter of a turn again, and when you're doing these adjustments here, go back and retune, and get back and check it again. But I'm just going to check it here. Now I only have the B string ringing, so we're going to give it a little something here in order to see if we get it. And we might just take it down a little bit, or You can also just go in and adjust the G string a little bit. And basically now we have all the strings bossing. Basically meaning that we have successfully matched the remaining 4 strings to the radius of the fretboard. You know, I highly recommend that if you're going to do a lot of setups, you go out and invest in the proper tools. And you know, the tools that we talked about earlier would be a nice investment, because it's going to not only save you a lot of time when you do this work, but it's also going to make it more, you know, precise. And it's going to, you know, if you're doing this for paying customers, you would, you know, you would like to get their instruments back to them and they would be satisfied. So I will tune this guitar to pitch now, and I will play it, see if I had my buzzing problem still going on, and then we'll have to take it from there. But we should in a little while be ready to take a look at the nut action. So I'll retune the guitar, guys, and check for any buzzing, and I will be back. Right, guys, I have, you know, tuned the guitar to pitch and been playing it for a while just to see if we had any, you know, buzzing still going on. And it seems fine up here at the first frets, but once we get down to, you know, from the 12th fret and down, we have some, I would say, you know, major issues. If I play the high E string here around 15th fret to 17th, you can hear it kind of chokes out, and if I bend right here at the 18th, I can't really bend it without it choking out. And it's really bad right on the 19th fret. So, and it really, it does the same thing for all the strings. So, you know, the reason why I slapped on strings to get a look at the guitar is, you know, basically to see this. I might have to go in and level the frets, take a look at where they are in order to, you know, check for, you know, levelness on all the frets. And this is not a bad thing, it can be done quite quickly, and I want to do that because I want the guitar to play, you know, its best. So I would probably say, you know, the next couple of videos would be about the fret leveling and the crowning afterwards and the polishing. So we should be able to get rid of all this buzzing down here, because the action is not terribly low at all. It's somewhat medium. So we should be able to get away with this without having any buzzing down here. But most time I see that from the 12th fret and down, we have some, you know, high frets, some that aren't seated right perhaps, or I'll have to take a look at that, and if the frets are just, you know, uneven, I'll have to level them. So yeah, I have to take a look at that, and we might create some fall away for the remaining frets here to have slight, you know, decline angle to have everything play nice. But yeah, I'll have the next couple of videos, you know, be about that, and we'll basically have to see. So thanks for watching, guys. I will be back soon. Alright, guys. So as it turns out, when I, you know, slapped on the new set of strings here, I could get a much more, you know, accurate read of what this guitar basically needs in order to play as it should. And as I talked about in the previous video, we have some uneven frets, or perhaps even worse, some unseated frets or popped up frets. But nonetheless, we're going to take off the strings and we're going to take a look at the fretboard and the frets. And if we don't have any, you know, popped up frets, we just need to level them. We're going to do that, and we're going to straighten out the neck in order to get it as straight as possible, giving us a nice flat and even surface to work on. But, you know, we're going to start by doing that now, and I'm going to remove the strings here. And when I've done that, I'm going to come back here and show you guys basically what we're going to do in order to, you know, check out the frets and proceed with the fret level. So I'll be right back, guys. Right guys, so strings are off now, and basically what we'll have to do now is that I will have to make sure that this neck right here is level, because, you know, or straight I should say, but you know, we just put some, or took out some relief when they put on the strings in order to get, you know, the guitar to play as it should. So we probably have some, you know, adjustments to be made here. So let me get out my straight edge here, and I don't know if you can see this. This straight edge basically has two sides, a 24.75 and a 25.50. And for Fender guitars, we basically need to use the 25.50. For Les Pauls and Epiphones, we have the 24.75. So I'm going to use this because we don't have any strings to act as our, you know, straight edge. But if you don't have a notch straight edge, you can always use a, you know, a metal ruler or anything like that, a metal straight edge without the notches in it. But we're going to do this right here since I have it, and I'm going to place it in the middle of the fretboard. And if you can see this here, I can actually, you know, I can rock it. So this basically means that I will have to loosen the truss rod a little bit in order to, you know, in order to get it to where we need it to be. So I will go in here with the wrench again and make sure that it grips, and I will turn it quarter of a turn, something like that, to the left in order to, you know, see if we straighten things out here. By the way, these T-handles here are really handy for doing, you know, any truss rod adjustments, because they have this little ball end down here, which you know allows you to get a 30-degree angle. You can angle it up and get every, you know, in between small places and still be able to adjust things. So quite a nice little tool to have. Anyway, let's place this right here again and see. And I can already feel we don't have any, you know, rocking anymore. I can set the, you know, straight edge flat here, and I can sight down. See that we still have a little bit of a curvature, so maybe I've just loosened the truss rod a little too much. So we go in here again, we just give it a little turn and basically, you know, try again and see what happens. But basically when you level frets, or supposed to level frets, you always want to work, you know, on a straight neck in order to give you the best result. Some people like to take off the neck when it's possible, put it in some jig or whatever. I basically like to do it like this, with the, you know, neck still attached to the body in my, you know, little neck support here. But I always make sure to mask off the you know, the pickups and the finish around it, and, you know, just to be sure we don't get any filings or shavings in there. But we'll talk a little more about that in a second. But we want to check again here. Set the straight edge. And this right here is actually looking good. I don't believe that we can tweak this much more. We might try and give it just a little turn right there. And let's see, I'll try to bring you in so you can see the gap that I'm talking about. This time we might have gone a little too far. Yeah, so I have to back it off that little bit I just did. But should basically be no problem. Just do like that and see. So it's a little bit of going back and forth here, but it's important that we get the neck straight, and otherwise we won't be able to do good work. Okay, this right here is perfect and as good as gets. So if I pick you guys up here and try try to angle the camera so I can show you what I mean here. We should basically be in business. Okay, sorry about that. If we go down here, you should be able to see that if I zoom in here, we don't see any light coming through anywhere. See a little light from the fretboard markers, but they're just light, and that's why. But we have everything nice and clean here. And also up here at the very top, you can see we have everything as it's supposed to be. So this is what it should look like when you have your neck perfectly straightened. And we are basically ready to continue from here, guys. So I'm going to lower the pickup down here a little bit in order to make sure that my sanding beam can pass through without hitting it. And I'm going to tape off the pickups and, you know, basically just tape off the finish in order to take good care of it. So let me do the next things and find the tools, and I'll just be back, guys.